tonight with the latest on the coronavirus outbreak. Governor Cuomo just announced the first confirmed case in New York City.
The number of cases increased again today. New York State now has more than 100 cases. New Jersey has 6.
Emergency responders in New York City are getting more 911 calls than ever before.
As coronavirus cases here in New York City jumped by more than 6,000.
In New York, cases are on pace to double every 3 days. More than 37,000 statewide.
76,000 confirmed cases.
Yesterday was the state's deadliest day so far, with 731 fatalities.
The Trump administration has declared New York a major disaster.
There are now more than 100,000 confirmed cases of the coronavirus here in
New York State now has more reported coronavirus cases than any country in the world.
Good evening and welcome to this nationwide special coming to you once again from New York City. I'm here in Manhattan, and as you saw from those opening shots, the city streets and avenues are almost empty as millions of people self-isolate, New York now being the global epicenter in this battle against the coronavirus. Well, tonight we bring you stories of how the Irish here are dealing with this scary reality. The neighbourhood of Woodlawn in the Bronx, north of Manhattan. And walking down McLean Avenue, you could be walking through any Irish town back home. And this is where the Ashleen Irish Centre is located, a support centre for the entire Irish community across New York.
So the Ashleen Irish Centre has been here for 24 years, a little bit longer than myself. It was set up by a number of Irish immigrants who are well established, who saw the increasing numbers of immigrants coming from Ireland in, I would say, the late 80s.
The centre evolved and grew over the years and is now a hub for the community, with them through good times and challenging times, like now. Sandra, how has the coronavirus crisis here in New York affected the Irish community?
It has affected the community adversely in a number of ways. The biggest challenge we're seeing is the undocumented population that have managed to remain in the community. We're aware that there's a very large number of people who returned to Ireland immediately after the government guidelines recommended that anybody on, for example, a J1 visa return to Ireland. But then there are a lot of undocumented young men, usually who work in the construction industry, typically, not always. A lot of young men and women who work in restaurants and bars, and a lot of people who work in healthcare in a more informal capacity, home care, I should say.
How difficult, Sandra, is the decision for them to make? Because it's a dangerous gamble they're taking. On one hand, if they stay here and get the virus and have to be hospitalised, they risk a massive bill. If they go home, they'll get the healthcare, but they won't be allowed back into the United States. So it's a hard choice for them to make.
That's the most difficult question to answer. Over particularly the last 2 weeks, I've spoken to maybe 50 or 60 individuals. Also, the first challenge that those people have been overcoming is to actually pick up the phone and ask for help, because Irish pride can weigh very heavily on a person. We're brought up to do whatever it takes to get through it.
Well, there's 4 who share the room, and we work hard for the crack.
Many of the Irish across the city have been out of work for almost 2 months now. And here in Woodlawn, the Irish shops and cafes are doing what they can to help.
We're accommodating some of the nurses that we know personally that have been impacted by this. We're providing food directly to the hospitals through different personal contacts of the girls, and if we're in a position to help, we're happy to be able to help whoever needs it.
It's a long, long way.
These are sandwiches that we're making at the moment for the hospital staff and first responders, and what we do is we make a sandwich, a snack, which is either a bag of potato chips or a fruit, and a drink, and put them in bags. And sometimes we just drop them straight to the hospitals or the EMT crews. Other times, when we close up, we'll drive around for an hour and meet them on the road and give them to them personally.
Recognising the financial hurt that many are facing, the Ashleen Centre, along with 4 other Irish organisations in New York, have come together and raised over $100,000, which the Irish community can apply to for financial help for paying for food or for their rent.
The goal is to help the people who have made the decision to stay in New York, to help them be secure with access to food and access to shelter. So pay their rent, pay their mortgage until things start to come back to normal. A couple of $100 can be the lifeline that they need to hold on.
However, it's important to point out that this money will not be available to cover hospital bills. Sandra, 20 young people watching this programme now here in New York, documented or undocumented, insured or uninsured. The commonality is everyone's worried. What would you say to them?
I'd say go immediately to sláinte2020.org. Take a quick look at the details on the website. It's extremely well written, it's very simple, easily digested and very well organised. There's a link to a downloadable form where you can apply. It's simply called application form. Download the form, make the application, be honest on your application and send it back to us as soon as you can, and we'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And we'll do what we can to help you out.
Across the Hudson River in New York West lives Maura Mulligan, who moved here from Mayo in 1958.
My first job was with the New York Telephone Company. I was a long-distance operator.
That was a very glamorous job, I believe, back in the day.
Back in the day, you just sat, you put on a nice dress and you sat on a chair and you plugged people in.
Hello? Hello? Sitting all alone like that? You happen to catch my eye. Would you like to buy a girl a drink? Sorry. Goodbye.
The only one I remember listening in, because you could get fired for listening in, was I listened in to Maureen O'Hara. She was staying at the Waldorf, the only person I ever listened in on.
Maura was a teacher for many years and now is retired. And as she is in the most vulnerable category, she has been readjusting to an isolated life.
I miss going into New York. I catch the bus right over there to go into the city. It's only 15 minutes away. I miss that because I get together with some friends and we go for pizza and wine, and I miss that.
You like your pizza, I hear.
I do.
But it's not all bad. Maura has been using her free time to learn new skills like baking and brushing up on technology.
I'm learning about Zoom. So I'm going to be Zooming a class this week, yeah. I hope.
And Maura, are you worried? We're here in the global epicentre of this pandemic and the death toll being so high. Does it worry you a lot?
I do worry because I live on the 4th floor of that building behind me. And, I'm in my 70s, and if something happened, the paramedics would be carrying me down 4 flights of stairs. Sometimes I think I want to return to Ireland. They say, boss in Aden.
Maura, is there anything this whole crisis has taught you or maybe made you realise?
I realise how much I need people, how much I need to be connected with people. And I think it just teaches you to look within as well. And you find gifts in yourself that you forgot that you had, or that you didn't even know you had.
Well, Maura, It was great meeting you. And it was great chatting to you. Stay safe. And keep writing, keep baking.
I will. And you as well, stay safe.
Bright lights, big city.
As the sun starts to set over New York, in White Plains, Padraig Allen from the McLean Avenue Band is about to start his Facebook Live show.
Good morning, good evening, or good night. No matter where you are in the world, we hope that you're enjoying yourselves here. If any special songs you'd like to hear, please feel free to type it into the comments.
Padraig, how has the coronavirus affected you and the McLean Avenue Band?
Well, Colm, I've been in the music business for the last 20 years and I've never seen anything like this. All our shows have come to a standstill and it's very, very difficult times.
Padraig lives here with his wife Francesca and their 2 boys, and with all their gigs cancelled, he decided to start an online show to keep people entertained.
Well, St. Patrick's Day came around here about 5 weeks ago, And I was sitting here and I said, you know what? My mum was on the phone. She was like, oh, I'd love if you could sing a song for me right now. I'm so sad. And she was quiet at home on her own with her husband, Patrick. So I said, you know what, ma'am? I got an idea. I'm going to set up my phone and I'm going to in my living room and I'm going to play some songs for you. And as I thought about that, I said, why not put it live on the social medias?
Let us pause in life's pleasures and count its many tears while we all sup sorrow with the poor. There's a song that will linger forever in our ears. Oh, hard times come again no more.
Padraig, what are you hoping the people who are watching your shows will take from it?
I don't know who's watching me on the camera and when I'm sitting there on my own, and I don't know what they're going through, and which is very, very difficult times. But I hope that the music I play for them is good and they enjoy it, and it can bring some bit of hope.
'Tis a song, a sigh of the weary. Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more. There's a pale drooping maiden who toils her life away.
This is a difficult time for all the Irish here, but particularly for the undocumented, and it is estimated there are 7,000 undocumented Irish across New York City. And now in one of the boroughs we're meeting a young woman who is one of them, and we're calling her Sarah. When you originally came over here, did you have a visa?
I just come over on the ESTA visa.
So like the temporary 3-month visa.
Yeah.
And you overstayed it first time?
First time, yeah.
With the coronavirus, have you been worried about your undocumented status?
The first week was very hard. I was going to book a ticket to go home. But then, just kind of as the weeks went by, it just probably got the exact same at home. And, you know, as I thought, like, and as everybody else said, you'd probably be doing the same thing at home as you will be here. So, like, why risk everything that I've made here, my life, like the last 3.5 years? Why just pack up and leave to go back to square one again where I left off?
But what would happen if you did get sick and you had to go to hospital because you don't have insurance?
I presume, and I'm guessing what would happen would you be given a fairly hefty bill, which I've been told that some people have given like fake names, fake addresses. So I suppose if it had come to that, I probably would. I suppose at this time you just kind of want to be around your family, around the people that you know. Like, sure, I'm here on my own. I don't know any, like, I don't have family here, so being away from everyone is hard.
Sarah lost her job 6 weeks ago. She says she has savings, but they will only last for a few months, and then she will have to reevaluate her situation. What do your parents think back home in Ireland? Because they know you're here, you're undocumented, and this is the epicentre of the global pandemic. They know you don't have any health insurance. Are they pleading with you to come home?
Yeah, they are. They're nervous, especially like if I'm talking to my dad or mum when I might walk, and they're like, "Oh, just, you know, we don't want you walking. They think you're going to pick it up off the ground or something." Like, I get it. Like, I understand how nervous they are. Like, if I do pick it up, like they can't come out because there's no flights out for them. So,
do you ever look back and think, oh, I wish I did it differently, I got a visa or proper paperwork, that I didn't overstay that original 3-month ESTA?
Sort of do wish I kind of did it the right way, but again, you know, it's what life is right now.
Hard times come again no more. Many days you have lingered around my cabin door. Oh, hard times come again no more.
Sarah's story, just one of thousands of undocumented across the city. Well, we have a quick break to take now, but when we come back, we'll be meeting a funeral director here from Cork whose funeral home has been overwhelmed because of the virus. This nationwide special from New York continues after the break.
Hard times come again no more. Oh, hard times come again no more. Oh, hard times come again no more.
It's 7 a.m. and in Pelham, New York, funeral director and Cork man Clive Anderson is starting a busy day.
Right now, with this pandemic, in New York City, we have over 700 deaths a day in New York City. So the volume of deaths, there's not enough funeral homes to keep up with the volume. We're on our way to Lawrence Hospital in Bronxville. We got a call last night for Mr. Martinez, and we'll be bringing Mr. Martinez back to the Pelham Funeral Home this morning and bring him into our care.
These pictures Clive took are now a common sight. The hospital mortuaries are full, and so the deceased lay in refrigerated trucks. Have you ever seen anything like this before, Clive?
I never have. I don't think I ever will again. At least I hope I never will.
Pelham Funeral Home is a small business, and Clive and his staff are doing the very best they can to handle the volume.
The last few days has been like, I can't explain it. It was like it came from left field. On April 1st, I got my first COVID-19 case. And I said to myself, it's not really going to affect me that much. I'm a small little funeral home in the suburbs of New York City. And since then, the floodgates have opened and it's been non-stop since.
I was calling to find out if the home was able to take on any new clients or families for services at this time.
Basically,
What have the numbers been like, Clive? How many people have been coming in?
this time last year, we had probably 3 funerals done for the month. To date, we've done close to 40 funerals in the last 13 days. That's 40 funerals in the last 13 days. That's nearly half our annual volume, and we've done that in 13 days here in Pelham.
So the increase is enormous.
It's overwhelming.
So you're getting calls from people who may have already called 5, 6, 10, 12 funeral homes.
Yes, yes. I mean, we're getting calls, we're probably getting about 40 calls a day from people who have called many funeral homes before us. I had one one individual call me today, and he's in Queens, and he says the funeral home he spoke to, they said their next availability was May 30th. So that's a month and a half from now.
With rules and regulations introduced, there are no funeral masses or religious ceremonies allowed. It's a quick goodbye at the funeral home and then off to the cemetery, where there is a line of hearses already waiting to enter.
Got it.
So what has happened, Clive, to people who want the mass, who want a priest, who want a service and minister? Has that completely stopped now?
Unfortunately, yeah, and that has been very upsetting to a lot of people. You know, especially people who have been lifelong Catholics, you know, have received all their sacraments, and now they want to have a Catholic funeral mass. The unfortunate thing is a lot of cemeteries, I can think of one in particular, that they'll only allow one family member into the cemetery, along with the hearse. You know the old saying that says, you don't know what you've had till you lost it.
Other cemeteries close by are completely closed, and loved ones simply leave flowers outside. And for those looking for a cremation, it's not much better.
The crematoriums are overrun. So to get a cremation at the moment, it takes 6 weeks to schedule a cremation. Normally you can schedule a cremation within 24 hours and have it taken care of. But because of this and the huge volume, it's now up to 6 weeks.
I heard a story, one of SCI's hearses was going through driving in Brooklyn, and somebody hailed it down like a cab and said, my mother died upstairs and nobody could help her.
Back at the funeral home, the calls keep coming in.
So I have all the information you gave me. I just want to go back over to make sure it's all correct, because this is going to go on the death certificate. My philosophy is I never say no. We never say no to anybody. And I can't say no. How can you say no to somebody who's lost their loved one? How can you say no to somebody who's lost their child? How can you say no to somebody who's lost their grandparent? It's inhumane to say no. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna make this as easy as I can for you, okay? So what I'm gonna do is, if I can get a little bit of information over the phone.
This, of course, is something that we're all dealing with, but I suppose, Clive, like the medical staff, you're there on the front line with the work that you do. How has this taken a toll on you, and how are you dealing with it?
I get a lot of energy out of helping people, and I also get a lot of strength from my faith. And, you know, my faith is everything that I have. We're here for a reason. We're all in life, we're here for a purpose. We all have a purpose, and I do feel this is my purpose, and this is why God has put me here.
Your heart sings like a kettle.
Clive, it's been a long day. How are you feeling?
I'm feeling tired, but I feel rewarded. I feel rewarded. It's a tough time for the people of New York, just like it's a tough time for the people in Ireland too. But we all know that the darkest hour is before the dawn. And I believe we're all going to get through this. We're all going to get through this.
When the time comes and rights have been read.
While the number of coronavirus cases here has been declining, for the city of New York and the Irish people living here, it's hard to know when things will go back to some sort of normal or when we'll be safe again. But until then, the Irish community will continue to be there for each other. We need it now more than ever. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, good night from New York City.
I'm dug from the rubble and cut from the kill. I'm dug from the rubble and cut from